Right, hello everyone, welcome to, I was gonna say Roma Theory, in fact it's Italian Theory, because this is a new feature, new podcast, Italian football. The Euros are coming up, I'm joined by Chris. How you doing, man?
Well, how's everybody doing?
Yeah,
So, go ahead.
we just wanted to add this new feature, I feel like we're always inside this Roma blocks, and we never really expand on Italian football. I think it's got a lot to say. The Euros are coming up, so we're gonna discuss a few things today. But yeah, man,
Yeah,
just
I want to cut Simo off here real quick. He doesn't know about this. I've been begging him, well, not begging him. I've been pushing and urging him for a long time to find some way to monetize his account and to whether that's starting a Patreon or soliciting whatever you call it, the live chats, the smart chats where you pay to do your comments. So we're going to try something new. And Simo, you can veto this if you want, but I think we should open up questions and comments to the people on the page, to the fans, the followers. But I think you guys should do super chats. Support our boy, even if it's just 99 cents. I think he's gonna be going to Milan. He's gonna be going all over the place to Euro away games, supporting the team, supporting the squad on our away battles. And so I think it would be nice. I mean, not only that, but I've been following this channel for like I don't know ever since Jose came was when he first showed up and was suggested on my YouTube channel. And I talked to him, and we've been going back and forth. And I'll give him some advice here and there. And sometimes this guy is up till like 3 a.m. editing these videos. You guys do not even know, he's got school or whatever. I mean, you got to understand this kid's 18 years old, doing school, busting his ass day in and day out. So I think, and not only that, but he reads all the comments for free on all of his videos. So on this one, let's do something special. Let's try to support him, not just Ibrahim, who helps us out every live stream, but we're going to accept some comments, accept some chats only from the super chats, and it can be minimal, but just show some support and let's get this thing going.
well,
What do you think,
I was
Simo?
not expecting that, mate. I was not expecting
Sorry, I
that at
blindsided
all.
you, man.
No, I mean, look, don't feel pressured. We could try this out on this new feature, on this new podcast. Obviously, it won't be like that on every live stream because you know me. But we can try this out. If you want to bump in some of our debates, pop some keep, bench, sell, some either or juicy questions for me and Chris to talk about and debate about, then yeah, we'll try that. We'll try that out. But yeah, really, do not feel pressured.
Yeah, definitely don't feel pressured. We don't want to seem like swindlers and we're not trying to be grifters out here, but this it is time consuming, and I feel like we could show some appreciation, and if not, then we're not going to judge you for it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Right, I mean, the Italian national team has landed in the US. Where are they actually playing, mate? Do you know?
They're playing in Florida, I believe. I believe they're playing in Florida. I'm not sure.
No.
Hold on, let me see.
Are you going to the
Venezuela.
game? No. I mean, I do speak of the US as if it's a tiny country, but
Okay,
maybe.
man. I actually was just down in Florida, so I can't justify it. But yeah, man. And actually, I do want to comment on Spalletti because he did mention how it's in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Yes, exactly. So
Ah.
which is for those who don't know, which is in the southeast. But he mentioned a lot of the Italian Americans. I believe it's like 20, 25 million Italian Americans that currently live in the States. And, to have Spalletti give a shout out to us in the States was really special. So I'm glad they chose the U.S. to do that. And even though we hate these international breaks, especially for friendlies, I
Yeah.
don't understand. But especially because I heard Baldanzi got injured in the under 21
Yeah,
international.
breaking news. It happened like 1 hour ago.
So yeah, obviously we hate all of these, but hey, we got our first super chat. And he says, "What a beautiful jersey behind you, Chris. Simon, you need to set up a beautiful background behind you too." Yeah, get on my level, Simon.
I mean, Ibrahim Wali, mate, I mean, this guy, I've lost all my words to describe him. I mean, I am not even exaggerating that Ibrahim Wali has paid for my Milan trip if I end up getting the ticket for the away end. I've lost my words. I mean,
You're actually officially an executive producer of the show. Like that's what
oh
you
yeah,
are.
oh yeah,
I
oh
mean,
yeah.
that's in the film realm, which is where I came from, years and years ago. Is that anybody who funded a project gets an executive producer title? So you can have that on your IMDb. That's part of your credits, man. But
Yeah,
but
no,
we appreciate you, man.
thanks for that, mate. Really,
Yeah,
from the
you
bottom
really
of
are.
our hearts. But yeah, right, let's get into this. Obviously, Spalletti did prepare the call-up list for these friendly games against Venezuela and Ecuador, I believe. What I would like to do is go through the list and just let's see if we agree. Who we'd put in, if we would substitute somebody for the current list, if we disagree with some picks. I've got the list in front of me, and I can go through it, and then we can break it down into four different parts: keepers, defenders, midfielders, and attackers. Starting with the keepers, we've got Carnesecchi, Donnarumma, Meret, and Vicario. Thoughts on that?
First off, just throwing it out there, I hope Vicario starts. Obviously, Donnarumma. I mean, with his stature, he obviously has the potential to be such a force in goal. But I think in terms of form and skill and ability and reaction time, I think Vicario is the one.
Yeah, I agree.
And another thing I wish that Spalletti had done is I wish he would have called Di Gregorio instead of Maret. But that's
I
just me.
agree. I'm not a fan of Meret at all. I think he's
Yeah.
not a good keeper. I think there are better goalkeepers around in Italy. I mean, I could name two. You named one. I could name another one. I think Montipo from Verona is better than Meret. I'm not a big fan of it. And I think the fact that he won the league title is big in a
Yeah.
sense that it makes him big, but I don't think he's a big goalkeeper.
I feel like it's more of a reflexive action because he's been the backup for such a long time, or at least for a few years, and so it's not taking any chances to throw him in there. But yeah, that was my only, and I really hope that Vicario gets a start. So we'll see, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I hope it happens.
I think it could happen. I mean, what's tonight? Venezuela, right? Ecuador is on
Yeah,
Tuesday.
Venezuela in Florida and Ecuador and New Jersey, which is in the
Okay.
Northeast.
Yeah, it's actually quite late in Italy. It's a 10 p.m. kickoff. I mean, it is a weird one. We're not very used to these late kickoffs, but obviously it's because of the time difference.
Mhm.
Moving on to the defenders, we've got Acerbi, Bastoni, Bellanova,
No,
Buongiorno.
it's Jeremy. No, it's Jeremy.
Oh,
He
you're
got
right,
kicked.
of course.
Yeah,
Mancini,
yeah. In case anybody
Mancho.
doesn't know, if does anybody not know about what happened with the Cherby, we can talk about that. Basically, he called Juan Jesus an N word, and Juan Jesus went up, and he's like, they were all battling or whatever, and he was like, "By N word, you're just an N word, go away." And then Juan Jesus went up to the ref, said, told on him essentially, and was like, "This isn't cool." And then they had a little spat back and forth on social media. And then Cherby gave some kind of half-ass apology where he was like, "No, blah blah blah," but then he said, "Yeah, trust me, calling somebody the N-word is the worst thing you could." And so he basically said, "I called you the worst thing possible." So we don't need that kind of negative energy. So Cherby's
Yeah,
done. He's
and
probably going to be banned for 10 matches. So
he is. He is. I mean, it's not even the first time Acerbi does one of these things. I remember the game against us when we lost a few weeks ago, last month against Inter. He scored that goal and he pulled a middle finger to us Roma fans. I mean, he's got this. The thing with Acerbi is, I'm not sure if people are aware, but he was a Sassuolo player. And during his time at Sassuolo, he had to stop playing football because of testicular cancer.
twice.
So
He had it twice.
twice. So yeah, I mean, he's got this. I don't know how to paraphrase this, but he's got this bracket around him. Oh well, I fought cancer, then I can treat other players like this. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
got this defensive. I don't know how to put it, but it's not the first time Acerbi
nothing to
does
lose,
an
like
embarrassing
nothing
thing.
to lose thing. Yeah, like hey, I've battled the worst, so like you
Yeah,
can't say it.
exactly.
He could have always had a chip on his sleeve. He could just, he could just be a low IQ dude who doesn't really just reacts and acts on emotion and doesn't really think about the professional aspect of this game and the gentleman aspect of this game, at least how it's supposed to be. He's only thinking about the rivalry and the hatred and the battle.
Yeah,
It's almost like choosing to act in your professional realm like you're constantly in a social media battle. Like, and
absolutely.
so yeah. But anyway, he's gone, and Mancini took a replacement, which I
I'm
was very
happy.
happy. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
very happy. Here's the thing, and so like if you listen to Italian football TV and some of the other podcasts that cover Italian players, they all hate on Mancini. They hate on
That's
him.
insane.
Well, for one, he did score. He did let up an own goal the last time he got called up, so people have the sour taste in their mouth from that. But then nobody knows about the growth as a player that he experienced under Jose, and that's one thing that you have to give credit for. And whether it was because he stepped up while Pellegrini, he took it upon himself to step up while Pellegrini was in a slump, to become the more mature kind of the captain role, even though he was still second captain. So whether he did it or whether Jose approached him was like, "Hey, I need you to mature up. I need you to be the real captain while our captain is in a drought, is in a slump mentally." But he's matured a lot. I mean,
He is.
he still has that enforcer type role and that big brother type role, but he's chilled out and he's actually gone from wanting to start fights to like antagonizing people and getting them to get mad and start.
Yeah. He's
He's
changed
really
a lot. He's changed a
yeah.
lot.
So
Um,
and he's improved as a defender. I think he will be the starting center back for the national team by the time the Euros come around. I think he'll prove himself at least if not in the international and some more of the qualifiers. So
I think he'll play tonight actually because friendly game. I think they'll do it. I don't understand why he's hated so much. I mean, look, no, I do kind of understand it. If he was a Lazio player, then he'd clearly be the player I'd hate the most in that team.
yeah,
But he's
absolutely.
improved. I think he's learned from his mistakes. I think Mourinho has asked a Mancini to be. You need to be that. Just I don't want to say the word, but that bastard player, that is what
Oh,
Mourinho wanted from Mancini. De Rossi doesn't want that. De Rossi wants Mancini to be that, but on a more sportsmanship level.
Yeah, and like just to top it off because we don't want to just talk about Mancini, but like how funny is it that he smacks De Rossi on the head too? It's so funny. He goes over, he's kicking Pellegrini on the way over to the sideline. He smacks everybody, and he still gives De Rossi a smack. Or
Yeah.
like Rossi was mad at Dean for celebrating and doing that. He goes over and he's the one that hugs De Rossi. Like he's just that type of mentality. Like you need that kind of
Yeah.
mentality on a team. And if he improves his quality, he can. I'm not ever going to put him on the same level as Maldini. You know what I'm saying? But the way that
Oh
he
yeah, of
commands
course.
I would never do it, but I'm saying the way he commanded the team and the way that everybody just shut up. Like, there's that famous situation where Maldini yelled at Gattuso, and Gattuso being such a badass, like he was so hard, and then Maldini like got in his face, and like that's the kind of shit where you just command respect from your teammates and from people that you play. So I think he has potential, I really do, but yeah, he still gets a lot of hate, but I'm glad that he's on the team.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Moving forward, we have what do we have? Bellanova, Buongiorno, Cambiaso, Darmian, Di Lorenzo, Di Marco, Scalvini, and Udoge. I'm a big fan of these names.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
I
gonna
think
put it
that
out there.
defense is the most exciting thing about this team. Oh, the defense,
Yes.
the midfield is great, but I'm more excited and more confident about the defense. One person I wanted to talk about is Bellanova. He doesn't get a lot of attention, but if you've seen the way he's dominated that right side, I
He's so
mean,
good.
he's so good. He's quick. And so him at the wingback position, I'm really excited to see what he can do with the rest of the team. Because if you look at Torino, they pretty much solely rely on him. Everybody knows they're going to go up the right side, and he still runs all over everybody. So I can't imagine what he's going to be like with with Chiesa and with some other people that teamed up
Yeah.
with him on top.
Yeah,
So
I'm a big fan of Cambiaso actually. There's
yeah,
not many Juventus players I like, but obviously I need to zoom out of that Roma mood and just zoom into that Italian mood and try to respect everybody in this team. I'm not a big fan of Juventus. I don't think Juventus plays spectacular football, but Cambiaso for me, what a player. His accuracy in terms of crosses is so good. We need, in terms of
oh, like,
Roma, a player like that.
it makes you envious. His
Oh
crosses
my
make you
god.
him and DeMarco.
Ah,
They're just
DiMarco.
so jealous. So yeah.
Yeah.
So but I'm excited to see Darmian's promising. So I'd like to see. Are we going to run a back three? Back three is it going to be a 3-5-2? Do you know?
To be honest with you, I think it's gonna be a 4-3-3. I mean, Spalletti always played with a 4-3-3, so I'd expect him to play with a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, in terms of, it's just about getting that quality back because the Italian national team lacked quality over these past few years. It's about finding those
Mm-hmm.
good, identifying those players, and then deciding which formation, which scheme, tactics, and all of that. But the base solution is we gotta find the players because we do have a few, but I don't think Italy is that massive national team that it was 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. We are lacking quality, and we just need to find it back.
Yeah, and we're going to circle back to that because considering like we get a lot of flack for not making the World Cup or whatever. But in just months and months before that, we broke the record for most consecutive wins. I'm sorry, unbeaten streak. We broke the record for unbeaten streak. So it's so inconsistent. But we'll talk about that later. I don't want to get off topic here.
Yeah, yeah,
So
no.
are there any other defenders that you think should have been added to the list?
My answer is no. I think
I
that's good.
The only thing I think is I think Di Lorenzo should have been dropped. Di Lorenzo is not the same player that he was last year. So
That's a
I
good
don't
point,
want
actually.
what's that?
That's a good point.
I don't know what. Maybe it's just because Napoli as a whole is in a slump, but he's just not the same. And I don't think he deserved a call up. And maybe he did it because he is in a slump and he knows his potential. He knows his potential as a leader and as a fullback. And so, but to me, it didn't justify itself because these are friendlies, and so I think this was a chance for Spalletti to take more chances on people that have never gotten a call up, for some younger guys, some emerging guys, things like that. So I can see the decision from both angles, about justifying leaving him home and then justifying still calling him up. But I definitely hope he doesn't get a start and he maybe just gets subbed in towards the end, just to keep that confidence up on him and not give up on him completely.
To be honest, I think the reason is the fact that Spalletti won the Serie A with him as a captain in that Napoli team.
Yeah,
Favoritism. I mean, there's an element of that, definitely.
absolutely. No, that's a good point. I can't believe I overlooked that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Midfielders: Barella, Bonaventura, Foloruncio, Frattesi, Jorginho again, Locatelli, and Pellegrini.
I mean, first off, I don't think Locatelli deserved it.
I
He's
agree.
not been playing well, and Jorginho should never be allowed on the squad ever again.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ban him for life.
yeah, I mean, honestly, like after he should have been banned after he missed all of those leading up to the World Cup qualifiers, and then he gets back on. And what was it? Who was he playing when he missed another one recently?
It was Macedonia because I was at the stadium. I remember.
No, I'm not talking about the World Cup qualifiers. I'm talking about recently in the Euro qualifiers. Didn't he miss another PK in the Euro?
Uh,
I don't know. Maybe I'm getting mixed up, but because he's missed so many, I'm pretty sure he missed. Chat, help me out. Did he miss one in the qualifiers?
did we
But
face
anyway, that's
Macedonia in the qualifiers of the Euros as well?
oh we did, didn't we? I think that's it. I think that's what
But
happened.
I'm not sure. Did no? Yeah, I think we did. I think we did.
Yeah. So I really think that that's what I really think that he's got a mental block. I don't know. I know he's obviously doing well for Arsenal, but as far as the Italian team, it's got to stick in it. It's got to be a thorn in his brain. Is that everybody hates him for that, and blames him for that. But yeah, I definitely don't think Locatelli should have been brought on. But one person I'm very excited about is Folarinho. He's and most people don't know about him, but I'm excited that he got the call up. Just to see what he's capable of doing with a better squad around him.
Yeah,
Do you know?
yeah. He scored
Do you
that
know?
banger against us. To be honest, I, I,
I,
I,
I,
I look
I,
at Foloruncio and I'm like, oh my god, it's a nightmare.
but it's not just a banger. Like how he beat like three
Yeah,
midfielders to get to take that shot, and he shot it from like whatever it was, 30 yards out or whatever. So I mean, that alone should tell you. And actually, doesn't we don't I don't want to jump ahead, but who was it that scored a banger? No, it was him. It was him. So yeah. So like, I'm excited to see him. I don't think he'll get a start, but yeah, he'll be
yeah. I mean,
interesting.
it's the moment for opportunities. I think this is the time to experiment. So I'm glad he got a call up. I do think there
Mhm.
are better. I think there are players who deserve it more. But yeah, a guy which I really like, but I don't think he could have gotten a call up because he's under 21. But a player which I would love to see in the national team is Fabian from Bologna.
Oh wow.
I'm
Okay.
a big fan of that guy. I mean, a guy, I should call him a kid because he's very young, but I think there's a rule that even Bove, to be honest with you, sticking
Well, wouldn't he
sticking
be
to
under
Roma.
21? Under 21 then at that
He's
age?
I saw a video on Instagram where he had an interview, so I believe he is in the under 21 team. But moving forward, I think these guys need to get some chances in the first team as well. Especially right now where we struggle finding talents. Give Bove, give Fabian, give all of the. I mean, Foloruncio as well. He's young. I'd give him a chance, but yeah,
Yeah.
why not?
Another person I know we've already gone over defensive, but I forgot to mention. Um, where was Calafiore? Is he on the under
Oh,
21s?
oh yes.
I mean, talk about massive improvements, and I mean, one of the biggest regrets that I have in terms of player sold is selling him, especially because we were scrambling for center backs at the beginning of this, and then we got Dean on loan and all this other stuff. So the fact that we got rid of him and how he can play both fullback and center back is just it's so heartbreaking. But I'm excited to see him in the years to come up and play for the national team. He'll be great.
Yeah, I agree. Fully
But
agree.
who do you want to see as starting midfielders? Who are our three midfielders in a 4-3-3?
Um, Barella needs to be there.
Yeah,
I think Pellegrini needs to be there.
I agree.
And I'd give. If it wasn't for the ban, I would have put in Tonali in. But obviously, we have to stick to the present. Tonali isn't there. I
Yeah,
think it has to be Frattesi.
I agree. It was so funny. I was even going to mention Tonali and how he will be missed. And I think that if he was here, Locatelli would have stayed home. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah, that was exactly the three that I wanted to see. Um, especially like if they start Jorginho in the center and keep Pellegrini on the bench, I'm going to be so pissed.
I'm gonna
And
be
I
so pissed.
have a feeling he's going to do it. I really, I would put money on the fact that Jorginho is going to start. And I don't know. I have no explanation. Why is it that he is such an untouchable staple on this national team, despite not performing for the national team?
I don't
I
know.
mean,
I
he's
mean, my
brilliant.
guess would be the fact that he plays in the Premier League. This goddamn Premier League, the attention that it brings. I don't know, but that would be my guess because I couldn't find any other reason as to why Jorginho would start. I don't even think he's a massive player. You know, forget the penalty stuff, but overall, what does he bring?
I that's exactly what I'm asking. I am at a loss. I mean, like you said, I think it's just the fact that the Premier League and he's used to kind of a fast pace style of play, and so maybe his control and his ability to transition from the midfield. But I don't know. I have a total loss. But one person I am happy that we dropped is Verratti. That was another
Yeah,
person
yeah.
was just not performing on the national team. So I'm glad he's gone, but Jorginho needs to be next for sure.
Yeah, before we move on to the attackers, I just want to spend 2 minutes on Pellegrini, just because we're Roma fans, he's our captain, and we really want to see him do well. And
Absolutely.
the title of this video is Can and Will Pellegrini lead Italy in the Euro 2024? Can Pellegrini be the Federico Chiesa back in 2022? Can he be that guy who decides games and ultimately, maybe in the miracles of the miracles, makes and drags Italy onto lifting this trophy? Which it's a question. It's a one question which includes two questions. I would also like to ask you: do you think Italy have a chance?
Italy always has a chance. If you look at the what the betting odds were before the Euros, they had no chance. I mean, they were, I think, had the sixth best chance out of the top teams in terms of the odds, and they turned it around. There's always, I mean, you think about it, like some of the players that stepped up during that tournament who went back to be mediocre afterwards. Um, it just sometimes the national team brings more out of some players, and then sometimes people absolutely suck in the national team and they're better for their club. And so I always think Italy has potential. Always, I think that if everybody shows up and has their concentration and everybody was on the same page, yes. As far as Pellegrini, that's a little bit different because he hasn't been playing for the national team very often. He's been injured. He's had that confidence crisis in the last year, and so I think it all depends on how he feels in the dynamic of the national team. We know that he's even amongst uh, with the Roma team, him bouncing back right at a time where the Roma fandom was at their limit. We were at our limit in terms of our loss of patience for him after a steady year, almost a year, and some people were still patient with him, but some people were like, Pellegrini needs to be benched. And so the fact that he was able to overcome that and block out all the noise and rise to the occasion, I see the potential in him doing that for the national team, despite not having the clout there, not having the respect and the long standing history of performing well there. So yes, he definitely has the potential. It's just whether or not the squad. I think it has to do with whether or not the squad believes in you. And so actually, who do we know? Who's the captain of this national squad? That's a good.
That's a very
Is it
good
Barella?
question. Um, it could be Donnarumma,
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
but
So
I'm not.
I,
I'm actually not too sure. That's a good question
if you
because
had to
Bonucci
look
isn't there anymore.
who would you give the captain's armband to?
Me, I'd give it to out of these players that we mentioned, I'd give it to Barella.
I was saying the same thing for sure. Just
Yeah.
in terms of the you know of the success he's had in the club, being part of the Euro squad, champion team. So yeah, I think 100%, especially because I don't even think Donnarumma should start. So I think Barella is probably the best option for that. Um, but who knows? I haven't checked it out. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, like my faith, and I'm the first one to admit, I was talking about Pellegrini being benched, but my faith has turned around. I think that his ability to climb himself out of this hole shows that he can pretty much overcome anything. And so, but consistency is key. This has only been going on for a few months, so only time will tell. But yeah, we put our confidence in him.
DDR played a big part in this, no doubt.
Absolutely. And I think it's actually part of like talking from one captain to another, and he'd be like, "Do you know what fucking role you're in? Excuse me. Do you know what effing role you're in right now?" Like he's like, "Don't squander. Do you know how special this is? Do you know who came before you? And so it's like, I think whether or not he took a hard-nosed approach or if he took a more sensitive approach, 100% coming from one legendary captain to a potential legendary captain, he's like, the moment is yours. Step the F up, and like I said, I think somebody as intense like DDR, who's a real captain, and like you've talked about before, how Totti was more of a silent captain who motivated by setting an example, just setting an example on the field and how he's going to act or whatever. But DDR was really intense, and so yeah, no doubt that he had a significant role in that.
Absolutely.
So, but I'm stoked. But yeah, you want to move on to the attackers?
Yeah, let's move on, definitely. Right, we have Chiesa, Lucca, Orsolini, Raspadori, Retegui, Zaccagni, and our good old friend Nicolò Zaniolo.
Zaniolo, man. You go first. Let's talk about Zaniolo and why you think he got called up.
I think you have to mention the fact that he plays in the Premier League again. He's not playing well in the Premier League at all. I follow the Premier League every single weekend and he's not playing well. And if there are any English fans watching this, any Villa fans watching this, they will agree. But there's this constant obsession with the Premier League, and whoever plays in the Premier League is superior to everybody else, that it like makes you want to give him a call up. On the other hand, I think the reason why is because Spalletti is understanding that it's kind of a last call for Zaniolo. It's a situation which Spalletti is trying to make him understand. You're not a kid anymore. You either turn up now or your football career is gone. So, and Spalletti, if there's one thing about Spalletti, again, we're Roma fans. I like Spalletti, massive manager, but what happened with Totti, of course, Roma fans won't admire and love Spalletti, but Spalletti is intelligent. Spalletti has understood what traditional values of this Italian national team means, what it means to represent this country. Banning video games in hotel rooms is the definition of this. And I'm like, I know that Zaniolo is not an intelligent guy. I know that Zaniolo is a little kid who doesn't have a great attitude when it comes to football. So I'm like, I need to make him understand that it's either now or his football career is gone out of the window, because he's not young anymore. I mean, he's young, but he's not a kid anymore.
Right. And I think that's what it is. I think because we cannot doubt his athleticism. If he improved nothing else other than his decision making, having to do with his selfishness on the ball, and also like how he can be so strong but go to the ground so easily. So as far as that's concerned, you got to really just consider the fact that he is an athlete, like a full-on athlete now. Before he was a technical kid, before his ACL, he was skinny, he was technical. But when he was injured and couldn't play, he bulked up. He gained like 20 pounds of muscle. And that does a lot to your skill and your technical ability, but it also adds a lot to your overall speed and your ability to push people off the ball and control it. The funny thing is that he's not using that. He wants to go to the ground and act like he's still the technical skinny kid when he was 20 years old. And so I think that those 2 years that he was sitting in the rehab room, he just sat there looking at videos of these people on ESPN, or I'm sorry, on Fox Soccer, talk about how good he was and how he's the future of the Italian football and all this other stuff. And so he needs to get out of his own way. I'm not saying that he does not have the potential to be a great player, but he's his own worst enemy. And I think that I think you're right. I think it's one of those things where it's like Spalletti telling him, "Hey, you have potential. We're not giving up on you yet, but now is the time to wake the fuck up." and be an adult and start playing football. Stop being Balotelli, and wake the fuck up and grow up. So I think that that's one of the things. But I still, even though I hate what happened with him with the club, I still think that he could turn around and become a good player in his late 20s. So yeah, but I mean, but like I said, you cannot doubt his athleticism. So, but that's just my take.
Have you seen the rumors of him potentially maybe joining Lazio this summer?
I do, and I think that would be the perfect ending to a saga. And I hope he goes. I hope he
I hope
goes.
he goes as well.
We can just continue to hate him because like it'll just prove how much of a piece of shit he was as a human. Like to continue, like how you can go from talking about being the next Totti to joining Lazio. Like, give me a freaking break. And so that kind of just shows you that, like, kind of as a fan, as a wake up call, is like, don't ever get excited about somebody who's never proven themselves. And I even say that about Dybala. Like, I'm not even putting Dybala on the same level as Zaniolo, so don't get pissed at me. But everybody, loves Dybala, and they jumped on Totti about talking that crap or whatever. But as far as I'm concerned, Dybala's talking about going back to Argentina. Doesn't show. I mean, he says he wants to stay another year or whatever, but he doesn't show any interest in finishing his career here. And so, as far as I'm concerned, like that to me, that's what Totti was saying, is that, listen, like, the club is above everybody, and if you don't show ultimate loyalty to the club, then we show ultimate loyalty to the club, and we make smart financial decisions based on what's best for it. And selling Dybala, there could be a case for he's got to be sold eventually. So why not sell him when he's 30 as opposed to selling him when he's 32? I mean, because if he's injury prone at 30, he's definitely more so at 32. So I see what he was saying, but like I said, like, as far as getting too excited and getting too attached to one player, I think that's a lesson to be learned.
Yeah.
Coming from Zenio.
Yeah, definitely. And moving forward, again, what do you think of this list? Because I think the attack is the weakest point of this national team. Apart from Chiesa, who on earth bags the goals?
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think it should be. Honestly, I think our number 9 out of these should be Retegui. And I hate saying it. Like, you have Chiesa Chiesa and Raspadori on the wing and Retegui in the middle. I mean, you could take, because Luka. If you look at Luka, what is he? He's like 6'7".
Luka is literally the clone of Scamacca.
He's insane. Okay, well, first off, if you want to talk about Scamacca, I think he should have still gotten a call up. I really do, even though he hasn't been getting much playing time. His attitude seemingly sucks or whatever, but he should not be given up on. I mean, his skill is insane, his shot is insane, but he can be, like, I know I mentioned Balotelli already on Zaniolo, but he actually can be compared to Balotelli in terms of how his attitude is his worst enemy, and how if he just dealt with his raw skill, put his head down, stayed humble, worried less about his tattoos and more about his footballing, then he'd be great. So I think he should have still gotten a call up. But yeah, I mean, I think in terms of proven strikers, Retegui will probably get the start. But I'm actually more excited about Luka than I am about anybody, because the dude what was he down in, like, Serie C in like last year or something like that. So yeah, I'm just excited to see what he can do. I mean, shit, if we got our good crosses from Cambiaso and DeMarco, so maybe he can just put them up in the air and see what he can do with it.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I mean, how many 6'7" strikers are there out there, and how many 6'7" defenders are there? So he could be a force in the air. I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, we definitely need to find a new striker. That's the next step for this Italian national team. Anyways, I don't want to drag this too much longer. I mean, we can talk about the downfall of Italian football next week, because the international break is on next week as well. One last question is predictions tonight against Venezuela. I know it's a friendly game. I don't even know if I'll be watching it, to be honest. Do 10 p.m. tonight. But predictions. I expect, friendly games. I expect a lot of goals.
I mean, yeah, yeah. I think that they will open up. I obviously think that Italy will beat Venezuela. They should beat them easily. It just really comes down to the attack. I think our defense and our midfield will our midfielder will dominate their game. Our defense will shut them down. It's just whether or not our offense can produce in the final third. And I think that that's one of the main reasons. And I don't see that we'll have any shortage of setting up attempts, but it's all about the finishing. But one thing about Spalletti is his use of his use of the space and not getting too bogged down with positions, with the formation and positions. He's all about space. He'll have the midfielders run up and things like that. So if our attackers aren't doing it, you still have Barella and Pellegrini and Frattesi having the ability to come forward and score those goals. And so I think the ability of our midfield could be the saving grace of our weak attack. So
Definitely.
I
That's what
don't.
Spalletti is.
Yeah, I mean he's great. He's great at attacking the space, and he's more of a forward thinking football. I mean, even going back to when he was coaching Roma, his ability to change things up and kind of be more forward thinking in terms of the attack. It's definitely been refined over the years, and so I like him as a coach as much as I hate what he did to talk to you back in the day. You got to respect his
Yeah,
style.
you have
So
to.
yeah, I think we'll win. I think we'll win decisively by about 2 goals. Whether
Yeah, I'm
that's a
gonna go. I'm
three
gonna
one.
go 3-0. 3-0 tonight. Solid.
Okay. Yeah, nice. But you did so you don't you don't want to talk anymore about the team as a whole, the Italian team in terms of
Sure.
its
I mean, we can
downfall.
speak. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, sure. We can speak for 5 minutes.
So and if I mean, so because we didn't get as much of a response as we want, well, let's still go through and read some of these comments afterwards. So and maybe if you guys want to come forward, maybe give your ideas about what you think happened with the Italian national team. But in my personal opinion, it was really I blame Mancini. Okay, I blame Mancini
Wow, that's
for
big.
yeah. I blame him for sticking with the players at the Euros despite it not being the same team and despite knowing what some of the shortcomings were at the time. So, like for instance, if you look at the subs that he made at the end of that North Macedonia game where we lost, sticking with, um, why am I drawing a blank? Sticking with Chiellini. I mean, didn't he took Bastoni out and put Chiellini in, and then it was Chiellini that his slow pace that ended up giving that space for whatever his name to make that long shot on Donnarumma. But I think that he relied too much on the players that won him the Euros, but were not showing up in the qualifiers. And so he was resting on his laurels, and even after so many people were criticizing his call ups and some of the decisions that he was making, I do blame him 100%. And it's just a dirty shame, and that he didn't retire right when we did not qualify. What was he waited? He waited another year or something like that before he retired. So I think it would have been smarter for us to start rebuilding right then. But I think that he maybe just a little bit of pride from he being the fact that he won the
Yeah.
trophy.
And then the fact that he immediately went to the Saudi Arabian national team is even more embarrassing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I know. Like, can you imagine? Can you imagine going from Italy to Saudi Arabia? That's just
Yeah,
crazy. So I don't know.
exactly.
Who do you blame for that?
I think it's a very complicated question, but I blame the system. I blame the system in I blame the system of football, which is not which doesn't work out in this country. I don't think I don't I don't think you blame one person directly. Mancini has a lot of blames to receive, definitely, but I think you blame just the way this game and this sport is just so it's falling so much, it's falling into this black hole. The more we go, every year which goes by, Italian football just collapses even more. And I think there are a million of aspects. You look at the infrastructure, the fact that I always keep on saying this, but the fact that what 18 out of no 16 out of 20 Serie A stadiums are not privately owned. The infrastructure, the corruption which has been and is continuing to take place, they're just destroying this game. I think Italy as a whole, football, non-football, it's just they're always stuck with traditionalist views, in a sense that, oh, I don't want to demolish the Stadio Olimpico because it's part of history. I don't want to demolish San Siro because Inter won treble in it and that's football culture. But I don't think that is the mentality to move forward. I think if you want this country to benefit from these things, you have to just improve, refresh, rebuild everything again. Another thing is the fact that Italian teams don't trust their young players. The fact that an Italian team would much rather spend 20 million euros to sign player X from Spain, rather than, instead of, number one, wasting that money, because 80% of the scenarios don't end up being Messi's or the Ronaldos. That 20 million, 80% of the time it gets wasted. So instead of this forcing foreign players just because they might grab more attention, they might lead to more people watching Italian football on TV. And that's the problem of why Italy right now don't have a striker. I mean, why is it that after Immobile and excluding Scamacca, why is it that our number one striker isn't even Italian? Retegui represents the Italian national team, but he's not Italian. There's this lack of wanting to move forward. There's this lack of there's this ignorance of, I don't want to change the system because it was a massively successful system 20 years ago, but not realizing that this system isn't working, and the fact that we haven't qualified for 2 consecutive World Cups, the fact that Italian teams never win the Champions League recently, the fact that Juventus every 3 years is pulled out of a scandal. Add these things together, and the Italian national team is ultimately what receives the most consequences from it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy though, because I'm just wondering what it is about the calcio culture that can produce, world-class defenders, world-class midfielders, and even world-class wingers, and then the strikers is it just about the overall style of the way Italian tactics? Because that doesn't make any sense to me, because some of the best coaches in the world are Italian, and so it's not like it's the attack aspect. Even though the Italian national team, if you go back to the 80s and 90s, the tradition was defense. It was always building on a strong defense, right? And it's kind of moved out of that a little bit, or at least tried to. But I understand how it was, decades and decades ago. But how is it that how the striker is the only weak link of the team? I just don't understand it. And so somebody was telling me that in Italy, most people just want to play defense. If you're doing like pickup games or whatever, it's still more of a defensive style game, because nobody likes conceding a goal. And so most people don't even want to play attack. I don't understand how that translates to how professional teams don't foster strikers. But I just don't get it, how we can be dominant in every other position except for the striker. Is it because of the Serie A tactics? I don't know.
That's a good point. I mean, what I could add, maybe it's reason, but again, I don't think it is. But I've been told, and when I was younger, I used to play football. But I get told this by a lot of friends that play football, which I know in Italy, playing football at my age in football clubs, the football environment around these kids, around just football training sessions, football games, is very, 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 and I mean extremely toxic. You
Oh,
know, yeah, in a sense that, yeah, again, why is it toxic? I always ask myself. But the environment that plays football, the people which you find playing football in Italian clubs, youth clubs, it's very, yeah, maybe, yeah, toxic, I think is the word. A lot of people use that word, and a lot of people tend to emphasize this every single time.
that's interesting. Yeah, man,
The
it's
fact that if you make a mistake, there's this sense of, oh, you're an idiot, you're a loser, you can't play football. While I think in other countries it's different because the culture around making a mistake, it's not clashing you, bashing you, throwing yourself on the, just condemning you. Oh no, 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 you're terrible. But it's like, yeah, you learn from this mistake. That I
yeah,
think plays a point as well.
yeah, no, I agree. And I think that sooner or later we have to, because I mean, look, we won the Euros with Immobile being absent. I mean, he was on the field, but he was invisible. I mean, he had maybe one goal throughout the entire tournament, and went some games with getting like two or three touches. So as far as I'm concerned, you actually have the room because we have so much quality around the striker. You have so much room um, to actually just take a gamble on somebody that has the raw ability, but may not be mature or may not be used to playing on a national team. They're not used to that level. So, like I said, like making a gamble. I don't think Raspadori is a true striker, so I don't think
Yeah,
we can
same.
bank. So and I don't want Ritegi. I don't think that he's quality enough to for us to bank on him for Italy's future. He's a good backup, but like I said, I really think that we should just put our faith in somebody. The way that Mancini put his faith in Immobile the whole tournament, despite him not showing up, and just see what comes of it, as opposed to kind of just bouncing around and not really showing any confidence in one specific person, because obviously different strikers bring different things to the game. So you have to kind of change up your tactics based on that. Let's just Spalletti has a tactic in mind. He chooses somebody he thinks is the best, despite whether or not let's just say it's Kamaka, despite him not playing very well in Atalanta. Have a few games, put some trust in him, especially during this friendly window. I want to see the same striker start both games. I really do, and see what we can do. But only time will tell. We'll see.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. But yeah, so let's go through some of the comments. Amazing Vincent has been here, so he's been commenting a lot. So let's talk about that. He says Italy was never a team based on scoring goals. Immobile was our striker in the last Euros, and we won the cup. Exactly. That's exactly
Yeah,
what I
no,
was
that is
talking
true. I agree with him.
about.
We need Camarda. Camarda's a good shout. Very young still, but yeah, develop him, grow him, and he can be a potential legend of Italian attackers, no doubt.
And then we got Christian asking if we speak Italian. No, I mean, I can speak a little, obviously Italian. Simo speaks fluent, but this is an English channel, man. It's for people like me. So yeah, sorry about that, but yeah, maybe you can ask Simo to give you some analysis in Italian. Somebody says I prefer Verratti over Jorginho at this point. Yeah, man, absolutely. I don't want either of them though. So that's just me.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. I don't want to read your comments. Um,
God help us if Pellegrini is the one to lead Italy. He can score great goals or make killer passes occasionally, but that's not good enough.
Oh, I wouldn't take that away from you. Like I said, he needs more consistency for me to
Yeah,
fully.
he needs consistency. The thing with Pellegrini is consistency.
Yeah. So I mean, whether it's consistency of his form while he stays healthy, or whether he can stay healthy for a long time, regardless. but we'll see. But like I said before, he has potential, but he still has a lot to prove.
Yeah, definitely. Under Spalletti as well.
Yeah. All right. Looks like we got nothing else. So yeah, you want to just call it there?
Yeah, right. It was a pleasure. Good old chat,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Thanks for having
Um,
me.
no problem, mate. Thanks to you coming on. We can do another one of these next week, and
Yeah, what everybody thinks if I don't get too much hate and everybody like the analysis that we can go on.
Josh
But if
knows something about that.
yeah, if I see a whole bunch of Chris out comments on the video, then yeah, we can do it again. But we're here to please the fans, and so if I'm not a crowd pleaser, then we'll find somebody else, and I can
Yeah, no,
stay behind.
definitely. I think this the Italian Theory podcast. I'm gonna try and implement it weekly, but now that it's international break, it's easier to do these videos. One thing that I would definitely love to do, however, is after every Roma game, do a Roman talk about the game and about the current situation of Roma. So that's a podcast that can come, and I hope I'll try my best to bring it weekly, after every Roma game, after my match reaction. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Up to Italy tonight.
One second, real quick. And just because we are in an international break, if you guys have any topics that you want covered that you think would be a good topic for us to talk about when we don't have any Serie A or Europa League games, put it in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Another thing is small little solicitation for support. Every comment that, not just the like, but every comment that you leave on Simo's videos, even if you watch live, just take an extra second, re-click on the video after we stop and leave a comment. That helps his engagement. That'll help boost him in the algorithm. So just it's not just the like, and obviously we appreciate you guys coming up and showing up at the live chats. That's great, but yeah, just a little bit of extra effort help this channel grow because but yeah, Simo really sacrifices for us. So yeah, let's show him some
Thanks, man.
appreciation. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys.
Right,
We'll talk to you
we'll
guys
speak
soon.
to you soon. Bye bye.
All right. Bye.